an all-new episode of SCNS Live, the super cool nerd show. Cass is being fired. I think this was the most frantic pre-production I've ever done on one of these shows. But we are excited. As you know, I usually like to do this show by myself.
Yep.
But I have some other people here. This guy to my right, no idea who he is. He just showed up. Who are you?
Patrick from the Lan Cave.
What's the Lan Cave?
Yeah, Lan Cave's a weekly podcast. We talk about video game development news, all kinds of stuff like that. Every now and then, talk about nerd stuff, but lots of gaming.
Gaming is nerdy.
This is the second time that you've referred to gaming and nerdy as two separate
More
categories.
geeky. I mean, we get really geeky, and there's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Are you talking about only like Call of Duty?
No,
Then
not
it's
broing.
nerdy.
I'm talking about
This is
geeking out and like how many teraflops.
No, I'm
we're
pretty
actually
sure
talking
Lan
about
Cave is a Call of Duty podcast.
Patrick has been in our lives for a long
Yeah,
time,
a little
so
bit.
it will be very hard to resist the urge just to make fun of him the whole night,
That
and
happens.
vice versa. I'm
How will
sure.
that be different?
A moderate amount of bullying.
It happens. It happens.
But we were the little sisters before, so it is a little weird. Anyway, to my left,
Rerun.
Rerun.
My name is Cass. Hello.
I thought you were the ass manager.
What? There's a K in there somewhere.
Sub-manager?
The Ask
Ooh.
Manager.
Uh,
And we're done.
I think that was the censors telling us we need to just draw the line right there.
Do you play Lego Star Wars?
A little bit.
That's
I
not
haven't
nerdy
played-
at
I
all.
haven't played in a while, but that's
Welcome,
like
Patrick.
one of the best. Like, it's better than the Playmobil movie. I don't know if you guys saw the trailer to that.
Not
That
yet.
That is trash. Playmobil trying to, it's been quite a while. That's not like news, but yeah, Playmobil's trying to get on like the Lego movie like stuff, so they have their own. Daniel Radcliffe is actually the star.
That's not usually a good sign.
No, none of it's
Yeah, so he's going to come out next year and talk about how it was a big mistake
Of
and
course.
how trash the project was.
But I love how honest he is about it afterwards.
Nope, that's not how you do
Afterwards.
that.
Oh my God.
All right, and then
Afterwards.
over there we have somebody.
Patrick, I just want to say I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you're here on the show representing the non-nerds like me and you.
I appreciate
Because I'm
Right
surrounded
there. Yeah,
by
that's right.
nerds every time I do this show.
I know.
So thank you for
It's-
coming.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's the worst.
I know.
That's Bryce.
Wait,
Oh no.
And
Wait.
then behind the board doing his absolute best, and for that we give him some
I don't know
credit.
about best. Is probably worse.
Bless him, he's trying.
Where's Cora? I need her
Bless
glasses.
his heart.
What kind of mid-90s fashion? No.
It's funny because that's actually when I bought these shades.
And you still have
Called
them.
it.
They look like child
These-
size.
these
Are
are
they
older
child
than-
size?
Do I have mine?
They
I bought
do
these in
look like
2002.
children's sunglasses.
I was gonna
I
outstyle you,
love
but I
these
left my
shades.
sunglasses in the car. This is terrible.
You have
Anyway.
a cool bucket hat.
Oh, thank you.
I love
That's not
these
a bucket
shades.
hat. It's just a. It's just
are you sure
No,
those
no,
aren't
Then it's
Eddie's?
not
no,
cool.
it's not.
I'm quite positive they're not my size.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
No,
Anyway.
Okay,
they're rather. Small.
that's Jason. We also have special guests in the studio. We have an ordinary guest in Patrick, and we have a special guest who's going to come on a little later to talk about one of our favorite party cons in the
Yay!
area. But first, we're going to kick it off with some super cool nerd news. I had to take pills. So we have a lot of news. A lot of it starts in comic books and TV. Patrick, you were telling me something about DC.
Yeah. So, we know if you guys follow DC Comics at all, DC Comics have no idea what the hell they're doing for quite a while.
That is true.
Which
That's
cuss
their
on
brand.
that. Yeah. So DC, upon reboot after reboot after reboot, has decided that their next foray, which is referred to as 5G, which is, I think, one of the dumbest things to do to try to grab a buzzword. That's like saying cloud something.
Ooh.
It's like you're just saying it to say it. But essentially, it's their new reboot / foray where they're sectioning off different. I won't get too much into it, but essentially sectioning off the different generations of DC, trying to define it. And essentially, Warner has said, because Warner owns DC, if you guys didn't know, if this is not successful, if Bandai is not successful and everything's not successful with this, they will be canceling the comic books section of DC. You didn't hear that?
That's a big swing.
Like, I guess we're just tapping out. Yes, because they've been doing so poorly in comic book sales that they've said that. I feel like it would possibly be a pause for a while to reassess, but they're doing that poorly that they're like, we're just putting all our eggs in one basket, and let's see what happens at this point.
Otherwise, we might cancel the comics portion of our comics company.
But again, the decision being made from Warner, Time Warner, and everything, and they do not know what they're doing from business
Well,
standpoint.
AT&T, who already has like $160 billion of debt.
Of course, they, but also they feel like this, one side's not making enough versus another, as opposed to other companies who realize that this is multifaceted. You're essentially diversifying your portfolio, if you will, with all these different intellectual properties. When they bought DC, they didn't know what to do with it, and they ran it into the ground, and they're continuing to run it into the ground. The TV shows are like the only good thing going on. I'm hopeful about Battinson. I don't know if I'm the only one here, but...
Did you watch Crisis? Because it makes it harder to hope.
Well, okay. But DC has already said we're not connecting anything with TVs, with our comics, with our movies. Nothing connects, nothing touches, and Battinson. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I'm going to try not to rant too much. This
Yeah,
is the
Crisis was
problem.
terrible.
They couldn't have one whiteboard, right? But if they could, I would love to see what that whiteboard would look like. Them putting all their eggs in one basket is a little funny for a final move when the exact problem has been that their eggs were thrown to the far ends of the universe.
Yes. As opposed to unifying everything like Marvel has been doing.
And, like, I have some problems with Marvel, too, but, like, overall, like, you need to either joyfully embrace, like a very special moment in Crisis, spoilers, where they brought the movie Flash on.
Yes.
That was special. That's an embracing, like, oh, it's all different, but who gives a crap? They need to, like... But diversifying your portfolio is very much not about nothing touching each other.
No. But what I meant was specifically AT&T Time Warner not understanding how to diversify their portfolio, not DC.
I feel like we're seeing the same thing in esports everywhere with, like, where it's like, oh, yeah, we bought this profitable nerd thing. We're going to run it like our company.
And they don't know, as opposed to purchasing something, letting it run, which is what Disney did a great job with when it came to Marvel. Star Wars,
Less so.
but we're getting there.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. There's more rumors on that I could talk about. I don't know if we want to go into
Probably not too far. Rogue One was a pleasant
Rogue
surprise
One was the best
from
movie.
a Disney.
Rogue One was the best movie out of the
Marvel.
recent
I
movies.
disagree with that, but I did like it a lot. I don't know what
The
I
Last
think.
Jedi
of
fan? What is this?
I liked it. I think I'm not as sold as this is the only way to do Star Wars thing. I was actually way more disappointed in the most recent one where they're like, somebody's dead. Oh, just kidding. I was like, oh, no backbone.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but no, I contend that if Rian Johnson was given, especially after watching Knives Out, like if Rian Johnson was given a separate Star Wars movie, not Episode 8, where everything was like all in on his shoulders.
I like his style. It was very different.
I loved his style. Yeah,
maybe not appropriate, but he's got an eye. He's got a perspective. He's got a point of view, and I respect all that.
He does.
Yeah.
Because Knives
Anybody
Out was
else?
like one of my favorite movies last year. Yeah, Knives Out was like one of my favorite movies last year. So
We're really excited.
Out
to
on
have
Blu-ray
Patrick
today,
back.
actually.
yeah.
Knives Out comes out on Blu-ray today. I still haven't seen it. I am going to, as soon as I can.
So many reasons
Because I want to see that.
I'm like,
So
do
many
I
reasons.
illegally find it when I get home, or do I wait till
Or
Cass
you
and
do,
I finish
do you
moving
do
this
both?
weekend?
I mean, I'm not going to condone it, but sometimes I'm like, I need to watch this now. I'm going to buy it,
Yeah,
and I
and-
do buy it.
I try to make sure to at least rent it if I watched it.
Sure.
But I don't
Yeah,
want to put
anyway.
on pants, so I'm going to do it this way.
That works too.
Who does?
And you're gonna ruin what was it? The in game for yourself
Oh, yeah.
by watching a garbage
Don't
like
you have a show to
overseas
do?
Oh, that's
copy.
true. That is so true. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, what else is out? No.
Altered Carbon, actually, season 2 is coming out. It's a Netflix show, so it'll come out at like 4 a.m. tomorrow. I am excited about Altered Carbon season 2. It's a good show.
It is.
But Knives Out is absolutely what I'm super excited about. There is something else comics related. If you liked the Umbrella Academy, the show, you probably know that it was based off a comic. everyone's favorite character almost immediately was Klaus,
Yes.
played by Robert Sheehan.
Yes.
He's a brilliant character. If you like him, you will be able to read an entire comic book series based on him. It's titled "You Look Like Death," and Gerard Way is starting on it right now. I'm excited. Klaus is an amazing character. He's complicated and broken, which who doesn't love that?
That makes interesting characters, though.
It
I want
absolutely
them. I
does.
need characters to fail. I need characters to struggle.
He's exactly where Robert Sheehan should be, like 6-7 years after finishing Misfits.
Sure.
Like, this is exactly where I want to see him
Yeah.
grown up, but still confused and upset about everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's amazing. And that show, I was sold. I called Cass in, like, I was watching the pilot on a whim, and then it was Phantom of the Opera when the violin for the first, like,
That was so
crazy,
good.
like, everything
good, yeah.
happening scene,
Yeah.
and I was like, yep, I'm sold, Gerard Way. I mean, I always loved Gerard
So
Way, because my heart is a teenage emo kid.
Of course.
So,
Same.
yeah. It's
Always
a good
and
show.
forever.
Good payoff.
Yeah.
And Altered Carbon, I'm also very excited about. They have a built-in mechanic for being able to bring in new actors.
Falcons on it.
Exactly.
Which very
Yeah.
few shows have been able to pull off consistently.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't see it on the list here, but did you guys saw if we didn't see the news on the High Republic, the new Star Wars?
I did
didn't
not
see it.
see the news on it.
All right, so this was previously called Project Luminous. It's the new Star Wars foray, if you will. Actually, basically like a multimedia kind of aspect, kind of like what they did with Shadows of the Empire. So they'll be doing novels, young adult novels, and graphic novels, all following a storyline that takes place around 200 years prior to Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So it's an area that we really haven't explored a lot. We only know one person who was alive during that time. It was Yoda. So I hope that they don't try to focus on that too much. They really haven't mentioned him, so I'm happy about that. But to be able to play essentially the playground where the Jedi Knights are actually prevalent and actually doing
Instead
good
of
things.
an already dying.
Yes, yeah. So it's gonna be nice to see that, as you know, Obi-Wan talked so highly about what the Jedi Knights were and what they represented, and he was on the tail end, and as it just was crashing, and it's gonna be interesting to see that. They did say that they're gonna be focusing on things other than just the Jedi.
I'm so excited
Yeah,
because let's face it, when all the Timothy Zahn books were out, those were my jam.
yeah.
So give me this whole other universe in print.
But I want him involved in this because he's not, and that's kind of a negative. I will
Well,
say.
what do we
that-
got to do?
What? What do we got to do?
What do we
They're
gotta
busy. They're putting more and more and more. Yeah, basically, it was described as the Knights of the Round Table for Star Wars, which is thank you very much for that. It was a great way to describe it, and a way for them to move forward kind of a visual of what that will be. They talked a little bit about who the villains are going to be for this. The Sith are not prevalent during this time, but I think it would be a huge misstep if they don't have them showing up and the Jedi Knights trying to like skirt it under the table.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to essentially see. I would like to see like the lead in and like the seeds of Darth Plagueis and that coming into to the storyline. There's so much that they can do, so much freedom in this area that hasn't been touched, and it's close enough that you can kind of see where this is moving. So I'm excited about that.
There's parts of it that, like, I just sit back and as a fellow dungeon master, game master, there's so much respect for the world
Yes.
building that they did. Like, to start out with the dying breed of the good guy, like, is so bold.
Yeah.
They've done a lot right, and I do look forward to exploring more about that. You have something else on Star Wars.
I do.
A shirt.
Besides what I'm wearing, yeah. So when you think of Disney Plus coming with their, a lot of series and prevalent, a lot of people are really excited for the Ewan McGregor show coming,
I'm
which,
one of those.
right? So that show, which has been untitled to this point, they are now apparently titling it Pilgrim.
Interesting.
So, so the Tatooine younger Jedi that we will be seeing, hopefully will get a great series that has been delayed, but that they're making sure it's going to be right.
Yeah.
which is something I'm also reading about Moon Knight today. They're delaying it for some reason, but at any rate, Ewan McGregor.
Delayed and get it right.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, we agree, but like,
I know.
Yeah. So we're gonna go from, I don't know, secluded pilgrim protagonist to rebel uprising catalyst.
Yeah.
I don't know what all we're gonna get, but rumor has it today that they're talking about it's possible that he might even run into Jar Jar Binks.
Please no.
Which
Please no.
and they're
Not
saying
until I get my Black Series figure.
and they're saying he's gonna have a beard. I don't know.
No.
does that mean like a
Yeah.
girl with him
I don't
or
know.
facial hair?
No, I really
It's
don't.
an inappropriate
Yeah?
joke, but like,
Well,
you know,
they totally
could
set
be
up
either.
like Darth Maul, for this.
Yeah.
So that's all I care about. I mean, obviously, Ewan McGregor's amazing and everything, but whoever shows up on the show, Maul has to show up at some point.
I hope their fight choreography is on point because they've
Yeah.
done some really cool stuff in the past. But I think-
Mandalorian
yeah.
makes that seem very likely.
Oh, so the episode with the
Choreography,
tieflings.
yes.
Like, oh.
Choreography and editing, because I'm tired of watching the jump cut fight scenes where you can barely tell. The Bourne Identity destroyed that from cinematography.
How many
perspective.
times have you gone back to watch that series that's
Hmm?
like everything that American movies do wrong with the super... Who is it that does that?
It's every frame of painting. It's Tony Zhao.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times. I've been like, yes, back up a little bit if you're going to cut so we can
Back up.
figure out
Let
what's
me
happening.
see who's hitting who,
Yeah.
so that way I can care.
Or at least like Daredevil it with the
Yes.
super long
Three
cut
words.
scenes.
One
I like
shot
what you said.
lightsaber
The
duel.
Daredevil.
One shot lightsaber
Yeah.
duel. I'd go for that. Like, so whoever talks about Daredevil's one shot, which was great and everything, but Old Boy, the OG Old Boy, the original Old Boy, is one of the greatest one shot fight scenes that like hardly anybody talks about. Again, seeing a character struggle and actually overcome something, where you got to see that a little bit with Daredevil, but it's brutal.
My best friend growing up, her dad was involved in a lot of that. He's a long-time stunt
Yeah.
performer
Oh,
in
wow.
Hollywood, and he's like every time, once in a while, I look him up, and I'm like, we just need to get back in touch with your biological dad so that we can hang out. He was working on Happy last year. Yeah, every show that we love,
That
he's
is awesome.
been involved in.
That is really cool.
I have a question for the panel. Ewan can sing
Yes,
Moulin Rouge.
yes.
Will he do some sort of
They so should.
They should do
some
a
sort of
a
episode.
musical
Like
episode.
a
some sort of a
musical
yes,
episode,
some sort of
community style,
a middle
just all
class
in.
Kenobi, struggling,
great.
in his seclusion.
That'd be
I
great.
mean, it could be like
Yeah.
if you're gonna name it Pilgrim and he's gonna star, what you're setting up for anyway is the reluctant leader, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the reluctant leader
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
and that whole like, if you're gonna run that arc of the reluctant leader becomes the savior type, then he has to have a realization. And that's
Yeah.
where you put the
And that's where you
musical.
put the song. No, see, I
like-
just envision like Little Shop of Horrors, like just
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
completely over the top. Like this doesn't fit, but it works.
well, that's what Buffy did so
Yeah,
well when they
exactly,
did the musical
exactly.
episode. Back
He
in
could
the
pull
day.
it off.
But it's the idea of like you respect your audience enough to know the audience knows that this is a joke and this is funny, and just do it.
Bantha Bluegrass.
Bryce is trying to remake the Star Wars Holiday Special over here.
Oh.
No, I'm not going to go that far. Unless we're going to talk about
I've seen
the
it.
I watch it every year.
unless we're going to talk about
Of course
the
you
course
do.
you
You
do. I have-
love the garbage.
I love
TV.
garbage. I have new garbage.
I
that
have
I've
a
not told you
VHS.
about. And, oh, I will break you.
Studio's
It
literally
will-
falling apart around.
I have
ours.
I have a movie and specifically a filmmaker who will break you.
Do not want to
Who
hear
is the
about it.
filmmaker?
His name is Neil Breen. You know about Neil Breen? Oh, it's
You can
it's
watch
Anyway.
those by yourself.
yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Anyway.
So
So, what else do we have? Along sci-fi news still, Picard.
So, some fans got upset.
as they do.
It's the sci-fi
You
tagline.
tell me fans
That
don't like things?
Picard
Just now.
is violent and dark.
Oh no.
Clutch
He's
my
been
pearls.
watching Star Trek. Like, the showrunner had to, I don't remember his name, had to come out and be like, well, we did this as a collaboration, and we believe that darkness belongs in Star Trek. Of course, darkness belongs in Star Trek. Half of these episodes deal with genocide and torture.
Yeah. Did they miss Deep Space
There
Nine?
are four
Like,
lights.
yeah.
Like, this has always
Yes.
been dark
Yes.
and violent, and I do not understand how you got upset about this.
Picard's growth
Yes.
episodes were based on gaslighting of
Yeah.
some form or
Seriously?
another.
100%.
He lived an entire life on a planet because the planet blew up.
Yes.
Like, this, it has always been violent, it has always been dark, and I think it is absolutely hilarious that fans got upset because we saw some of that.
They have to be fans who didn't watch Deep Space. Even Voyager got dark.
It's
Which
all
you'd
dark,
think-
yes.
Yeah, which
The
you
premise of Voyager.
100%. But at the same time, like so many people like diss Voyager, but because of certain aspects of it. But that show gets dark. Deep
Is it
Space Nine.
problematic women leadership?
Maybe. But see, my problem wasn't that. My problem was them getting rid of Kess.
Oh, yeah.
Like to bring on, I love 709's a great character, but specifically the show's idea. Basically, they said we just need more sex appeal,
Yeah.
so let's bring on some sex appeal. That's my problem with that. But no, that show's dark. Deep Space Nine with the genocide and violence and
This entire universe has always been incredibly dark.
everything Klingon. Just
My
everything.
favorite episode of all time is the one where Q becomes human, and it is hilarious. It's The Next Generation. It is a hilarious episode because it is a god playboy who gets his powers taken away and
Yeah.
can't do things like destroy Whoopi Goldberg's whole entire race to prove a point.
Exactly.
Like, I don't remember
How is-
exactly what I did watch the episode recently, but
Yeah,
I didn't
I thi-
understand all the
I
history.
think I think because we have evolved, media has evolved, society's evolved, where more of this is prevalent on TV, and with streaming, you are allowed to do things. You don't have to go across to a network and check as much.
Exhibit A, cursing.
Yes, so
Picard curses now.
I think that was the problem where they're used to, if they have some darkness or they have some violence or anything like that, that it's implied
behind
or
a
it's subtle,
veil.
it's behind a veil. Yeah.
But like,
Well, like-
I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
very like now and Discovery. A lot more of the darkness has been prevalent on screen.
Yeah.
And so like this is very much where
This is
we've
why
been
I'm
going.
Yeah.
Burning
How
Christ.
R-rated?
Especially the
entire
first
series.
season.
How R-rated can I go on here?
We keep
I'll-
we
I'll-
try and
I'll skip
monetize on
it.
YouTube.
I'll
You
s-
know the rules.
Of course.
Like,
So there are many scenes between, if you guys watch Deep Space Nine, between Worf and Jadzia, because so when they imply certain things that they did off screen and
Yeah.
then they're being patched up.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we all know what happened, but like they didn't show it. So that's really what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so like you mentioned, Trek has always had its dark moments. I mean, Picard's character arc in the series after being
Locutus,
abducted
yeah.
and being transformed into Locutus. You have to deal with those moments. And Star Trek: First Contact was extremely dark,
Very.
and
yeah.
that film is regarded as the best Next Generation film. So if you're a Next Generation fan,
Sorry.
no,
Really?
not so much. You
I
guys
love
didn't like
Generations
First
more
Contact
than life itself.
I did too.
So-
But
with
that's
Kirk
just-
and
I
Picard
loved
together.
You like
Okay, well, I
Generations
loved
more?
it too, but I'm just
I
saying
haven't
that
seen First Contact in a long time.
I'm just saying a lot of people did love.
Yeah. A lot of people love it.
It's all coming down around
Yeah.
us, but we're gonna keep going.
But it's much better than like Insurrection and
Yeah.
and Nemesis,
Yeah.
which
Which, by the way, I've gained a new appreciation for Nemesis because of what
Sure.
has transpired since that film
Yeah.
and what we know now
Yeah.
in the new series.
Also- Baby
yeah,
Tom
of course,
Hardy.
Of course. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Of
Oh,
course. Of
so
course.
I think the
Baby.
article came out like 2 or 3 days ago, right?
Couple days, yeah.
Like, and I've been thinking about this, and I've been like, why are they so upset about it? And I think it comes down to like 2 things. One is the assumption of wholesomeness
Yeah.
from the early 90s to the early 2000s, where it's
Yeah.
like things were good back then,
Yeah.
and we believed in God, and that made us righteous, and we were only trying to help people. And so they see it through rose-tinted glasses. I think that's part of it, and probably boomers are very mad about
Oh, I
it.
think so.
But the second thing is it is kind of hard to watch Picard sometimes because you're like, he's so old. Don't make him run upstairs.
Yeah.
Don't
He's
make
so
him think
tired.
about his own mortality.
Patrick
Don't
Stewart,
do
like,
this thing.
yeah.
And it can be hard to watch in a very good way. But there's part of it that's like, we love this man. He finally came back to this character. Like,
Right.
don't ruin it.
He coasted for so long, looking and acting exactly the same, and now we're seeing his age.
It's so raw
it's
and it's
very tough.
beautiful,
Yeah,
and
it
it's a fear that makes you want to be like, be careful with him.
Protect
He
him.
doesn't need that protection.
Well, I think it's a great character study. You're looking at the continuation of a character that we love for so long and was absent from our big screen and small screen for so long.
Yeah.
I love the fact that we are seeing a TV show about an aging a senior citizen
Sure, the
who
vulnerability
most
of
you
that,
don't
yeah,
get that in
you
most
don't,
TV
you
shows.
don't.
So this is
If
very
you do,
different.
if you do, it's comedy.
Right.
It's a
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a Walter Matthau kind of aspect, like was Overboard or was Grumpy Old Man.
Grumpy Old Men. Yeah.
All the Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau stuff, which
Right.
is hilarious.
Great, yeah. This for me is great because not only because I like the actor, but
Sure.
I just like that it's very different from the other iterations of Trek
Mm-hmm.
we've seen. I really am enjoying this, and yeah, we've had some callbacks, and that's great, but it's really interesting to see him in this new dynamic where he's really relying on other people
Yeah.
more so than ever, and I really enjoy seeing what has become of the Borg.
Yeah.
This is totally different than what we've experienced before. So
It has that very real fear of the robots thing that our generation has. It's
Right.
very much implemented into their storyline, their storytelling. I love that.
I'm very impressed with the writing, and I'm very impressed with his regrets and or nightmares, I guess you'd say, that he has trouble resolving from Nemesis. So I'm not going to go into spoiler territory, but let's just say that if you've seen Nemesis, then you probably know a little bit where the show is going. If you've seen just the trailer for the show, it's great. I can't recommend it enough. It's great TV.
It really is. It's good TV. And I have to go back to that Reddit thing that I keep bringing up, that like Star Wars has not been nearly as successful with their really old people.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can just see Star Trek looking at them being like, your guy can run upstairs. He can climb things. How are you so stuck in your character development? Our guy, we've done all this with, and he's like 175 years old. And he's still like doing it. And we know that we have Ian McKellen going to show up and yell at us if we don't do it right.
It's true.
Anyway, I don't want to move on, but we probably should. What's going on with Batman?
Okay, so I got a couple of things. Batman is being brought back in the comics by, if you like the I can't talk all of a sudden. Can you push the button?
If you like Batman,
Thank
Why
you.
just key up?
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Paul Dini and his partner, I believe Mr. Burnett, Alan Burnett, a writer, and Ty Templeton, the artist. Those people collaborated on a lot of Batman comics following the highly acclaimed Batman the Animated Series. It was in the same style. And what they did, along with the world's finest direct-to-video movie, they established this wonderful cartoon universe that totally separate from the cinematic universe that we know. They're bringing it back for a six-issue series, I should say, and it's going to be premiering in April, digital first, and in May in print, and it's called Batman: The Adventures Continue. And there's an image that I really like of Batman on top of building with different character faces, and you're going to get to see more of Batman's relationship with Lex Luthor. You're going to get to see a younger Batman. It's basically a sequel to the 85 episodes of BTAS, and I'm really interested in this because Alan Burnett and Ty Templeton did the entire run of that series that lasted for about 3 or 4 years on the Batman comics. So this style is near and dear to my heart. So I'm excited for that. It's coming in April and May.
Very excited.
I like the vibe of that picture. It's very animated series.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
this is such a
one of my
I am the knight, I am Batman
Yeah.
image right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely.
Violent, angry, but also very good-hearted Batman.
Yeah.
And I have a second. I'm sorry.
Go.
Did you want to comment further?
I was going to say continue with your stories.
Yeah. So in Moscow, there apparently is a real life vigilante, and he owns an expensive Batmobile, reminiscent of the one that Ben Affleck was driving around for a little while in Justice League and Batman vs Superman. So this thing is worth over $800,000. That apparently was put together in a shop in Russia called Fast Boom Pro. And
Got the money. I mean,
I just, right? I love the name of the shop, but what's interesting is this Batmobile was 20 feet long that he was driving around. This 32-year-old vigilante had night vision cameras, thermal imaging, laser sight aiming, model gun producing actual gunfire sounds
that's awesome.
on his 20-foot Batmobile that was not street legal.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is Russia. Those guns probably work.
They say they don't.
Could be.
They say they don't.
That's
you said it was.
the most Russian thing I've heard in my life.
But you said it was like the Affleck one. It wasn't like the Val Kilmer and the not Val Kilmer. Sorry, the what's his
Keaton?
face?
Christian Bale?
Adam West.
No, the one that you did, the one that you didn't name, the George Clooney one, which is like 20 feet long. And I'm like, how do I
yeah.
turn this thing? That when you said 20 feet long, it's
mean,
what I imagined.
That's the
Buses
one that had
exist.
lights on it. That was the
Yeah.
worst Batmobile. It had ground effects.
It was terrible.
Well, I've got
It
bad
was
news,
terrible.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
alerted the authorities,
Oh.
or
Oh.
somebody.
Dare they.
Just take it easy.
Yeah.
Take it easy, rerun.
Yeah.
It's okay. Somebody stuck a banana in
Yeah.
Batman's tailpipe,
Aw.
and Batman's very upset now that his Batmobile has been towed in Moscow. So it's very disappointing.
Between that, between
Been
that,
towed away by the
between
authorities.
that and the other sad automobile or motor news of Batman, between that and what I'm going to mention as the drama builds up in the suspension. Did you guys see the clip that leaked of Robert Pattinson on the motorcycle, dropping the motorcycle,
I did not see that,
going
actually.
like 20?
I feel
Really?
so bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
going
no.
20. They do have.
That's disappointing.
So that's disappointing. The worst part about it, which I don't have a problem with this. Everyone was pointing out there are training wheels on on the Batmobile, on the Batcycle. That's not as much of a problem because of insurance purposes or whatever. But the fact that that what happened in the crash, and he didn't really crash. It was a slow drop. It was just pathetic because he was going to stop the bike, and it had to be a weight thing where he wasn't used to what he's wearing and the weight of the bike, because it's as he was slowing down and he just kind of lost control of it. It had to be the weight, it had to be the power of the motor that they're running. As someone who rides motorcycles, had to be an underpowered bike with way too much top front. So everyone's making fun of it now. Training wheels, and he still drops it.
I feel so bad for Robert Pattinson. He's under like a microscope. Like
is.
in some ways, you have the whole like. Can you feel bad for them when they get paid like all that? You
Yes.
can.
Yes,
This is
they're
like
still
the
people.
worst
Yes.
of the best possible life that you could get, but at the lowest
Yeah.
end. He has the jawline to play Batman.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't
I think he's gonna
decide
be
to
good.
make him sparkle in Twilight. Like I'm willing to give him a chance, but it just
After
stuff
Lighthouse,
like this
no.
makes
After
it harder.
Lighthouse, no. I think he's.
I did not want to see that movie. I get
you not
tired
watch it?
watching the
Did you watch
previews.
it?
I'm not as enamored with black and white as multiple other filmmakers
It's the
have
same
been.
guy that directed The Lobster. I was
Uh-huh.
not going to watch this movie.
Just
The Lobster is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Yeah, from it's such an art. It's very art.
It's super
It's a
art
super
house.
art, but at the same time, I really enjoyed it. The interplay between Pattinson
Maybe
and Defoe.
eventually.
That's
It was
fantastic, but I'm
wonderful.
so tired of hearing that like they're making real art.
I
Like
don't-
you and
uh,
Scorsese can get in a corner and just tell me that like
About 15 or 20
whatever.
minutes into it, it's not as much about the art, but the ending is very much about the art. Yeah.
I don't mind art endings actually. It's not so bad. It's just the black and white is exhausting. Like
Yeah, it is.
if it's not like Mad Max like with a bunch of tones, then I'm not that interested.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to finish that one story by saying I hope that the 32-year-old masked man in Moscow can at least find a bicycle, you know, one of those rentals, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Are we
that you-
sure it's not really Putin
Have a
though?
little.
Don't know for sure. Don't know for sure.
Yes, of course he's 32. No, come on.
I would love to see him like on a little bicycle,
Right.
with like a yellow and black basket on the
Right.
front.
Right.
I
Do
just
you remember when I rode the bike at the con?
I do remember that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was amazing.
Jesus.
Like,
I was part of the dynamic duo there one
I
day.
saw it on one of my
With
favorite
training wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah, with training wheels.
One of my
obviously.
favorite subreddits, Normal Day in Russia. It's just like bonkers pictures all the
Oh,
time.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have one more on Antiques Roadshow?
I was just gonna say hashtag release the Batmobile in Russia.
Yes.
And release the Snyder Cut.
Thank you.
It doesn't exist.
It does exist.
Oh my God.
Ben Affleck said it does.
It's
Ben Affleck
700
doesn't know.
minutes long.
He's
It's
not
literally
Hulk.
just
Can't
all
do
the
that.
footage they shot of it, but it exists.
There's no editing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it exists.
Just every take repeated.
Antiques Roadshow, Bryce.
Okay, I have never been on Antiques Roadshow, but there was a guy who was on it this week. It was just aired this week, and a young man who his father apparently was a pyrotechnic or some sort of tech on Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he was involved heavily in the making of the Ark of the Covenant, and so he had what apparently is an original prototype of this Ark of the Covenant, hot glue, picture frames, and all sorts of like 2 trophies. So it's in the picture that's said in the chat, and this thing has been valued, apparently this prototype, between $80,000 and $120,000, and they're saying it could go up for auction and actually bring in $250,000 for somebody who wants it badly enough. Now, it's not the actual one that's in the film, because that's in George Lucas's vault somewhere,
it is. Of
or
course it
ILM's,
is. Yeah.
someone's
now.
vault, right?
Top men.
But it's really interesting that this exists, because this is the closest you're going to get to owning,
Sure.
I guess,
The original?
the original prop, you know. So it's kind of cool that it's come to light. And if you want to own that Ark of the Covenant, I heavily recommend you also get, you know, it is available on the internet. You can buy the bowl of monkey brains that you can eat dinner with. That is available online. You can buy that to go with it if you want that experience. And you also have the melting candle of the Nazi,
That's what I was gonna ask.
which is also available to buy on the internet.
That's really cool.
So you have that.
I love
So
that candle.
Yeah.
If I have that money, why don't I just, make a Batmobile and drive it around as a vigilante?
You're gonna need to build me my own maker's space if
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
that kind of money.
yeah, I'd rather have a Batmobile than the prototype of the Ark of the Covenant. But I will say this: it's a great place to put your blankets or your sand if you want to play in the sandbox.
sure.
You know, because that's what they did. They put a bunch of sand in it.
It worked out great.
Yeah, it worked out
Everybody
great for a lot of people, except for the Nazis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is really where we want things, ideally. Everything worked out great
Everything.
for everyone except the Nazis,
Right.
is the society I want to live in.
Right.
This
So-
is the future liberals want.
Of course.
Believe it or not, that is all of the TV stories that we have. The only category we made it all the way through. So we're going to take a quick break, and you're going to see a Nerds with Coffee trailer. It looks hilarious, and most importantly, it's short, so you don't have to watch us talk for as long, and that's why it's been successful so far.
For stopping by, for joining us for a cup of coffee. I'd like to thank you for stopping by and joining us for a cup of coffee. Other than that, thank you for stopping by for a cup of coffee with us, and thank you for joining us for a cup of coffee. Today we see if we are double jointed.
You see if that's all right. I am an expert on Transformers.
Today we find out who knows burgers best.
Valentine's Day, created strictly pretty much for pop culture references. And do we know them all?
Today we're a group of guys that collect toys, but how well do we really know each other?
We'll be determining which one of these people knows me best.
That was deceiving.
They were not lying on the epic crunch part.
Yeah! I just had a gun in my face by my landlord for thinking I was a male prostitute.
Never gonna give you up. Actually feels pretty good. I did
Getting a little
I did legs,
man-to-man stretching
I did
going on
legs the
here.
other day. but I am not done with you. I
No.
will defeat you.
There's bite it.
Real jalapeno peppers. You got to appreciate the quality in that.
No, stop.
This is great out.
Wait, what? Supreme so low.
You see what we did? We're consummate professionals. We switched everything around and got a new person on the
Hey.
show.
You added a chair.
Yeah.
He's been underneath the desk.
That's
You
right.
should be encouraging us as a producer. Sorry about the noise spike.
Surprise guest.
So we're going to talk about the Xbox
Surprise!
specs because it's important.
I guess
And then we're going to talk about all
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the Xbox specs. So that finally came out, beating Sony, which is surprising because everyone thought Sony's specs were actually going to come out previously, as it would have aligned with the last time. I'll be brief on it, but essentially 12 teraflops, which is around what we thought. If you guys even know about teraflops, the interesting thing to me is not only the ray tracing, but the ray shading. You guys know about teraflops? Let me tell you about it.
This is what you talk about on your non-nerd show, right?
Yeah, well, this is the geek portion.
On the Call of
This
Duty
is the
podcast.
geek portion.
I didn't
as
understand a
opposed to-
word you just said.
as opposed, so this is the geek portion as opposed to the nerd portion. So 12 teraflops, which is around what we thought it would be. Of course, their gaming PCs will beat that, but that's not a problem. Ray tracing and ray shading is the most important part about this. But I'll basically put it this way: the jump in technology is not going to be as flashy as it was going from Xbox 360 to Xbox One or PS3 to PS4. It's not going to be as flashy. It's going to be very subtle. It's going to be very small things that you're not going to realize how impactful they are until you try to play PS4 again and Xbox again.
Yeah, I think that the biggest things that you'll notice are, first of all, like it does smooth some things out with like motion, for instance, so you'll be less likely to get motion sick and headachy
Yep.
when you're playing. And it also, it's like you remember when HDR came out as an option, everybody went way overboard on it,
Yep.
and now we're actually at a good place where you see
Yes.
good dynamic range. That's
Good
what
s-
this is.
Yeah, and actually
good
going up to
range.
like going, being able to do. People talk about 8K and 120 frames per second. Being able to do that on a console,
Yeah.
if not more, depending on what you're playing, is going to be groundbreaking. The PS5 is going to be around that. But the other interesting thing that the Xbox brings to the table is a resume for multiple games. So if you've done a suspend on PS4, and being able to wait, and you're like, okay, I've got this game that's in suspend mode, and if you power back, go from sleep, power back on, being able to play your game again is great. But being able to do that with 2 or 3 games is a game changer.
That would be really nice.
If
'Cause I
you're-
tend to play 2 or 3 games simultaneously.
Yeah, and if you want to switch between them and you're playing a game like Red Dead Redemption, it's like, do I want to wait the 3 to 5 minutes for this to boot up?
Yeah.
Or do I want to just keep go back and
when I'm
Like,
playing The Witcher and
how
Hollow Knight simultaneously.
Mad am I
Yeah,
that I
there you
haven't
go.
seen Arthur for a while. If
Yeah.
if you want to be like, if you want to nerd out about it in PC terms, it's less like massive RAM upgrades, which they talked about, and more like
Yeah.
a really healthy L3 caching system.
Exactly.
If you want to be techie about it, which
Much more
obviously
efficient,
we're pretty.
quicker load times, and I'm trying not to go overboard when it comes to
No,
the
yeah, me
geeky
too.
portion of this, but essentially everything loading faster. So think about that as opposed to like bringing up like an old laptop that you haven't booted up in a while, as opposed to using like a Chromebook or an iPad that just immediately just starts working. That's what we're
Patrick
talking
and
about.
I are super tech nerds.
So that's what we're talking about with the next generation. A PS5 is probably going to be on par with that, but I think all of these specs paired with Xbox Game Pass is pretty huge.
Yeah, thanks Microsoft for teaching everybody that you should have to pay to access, the internet on
No,
your
no.
console.
Not Games with Gold. The Game Pass.
Game-
No, I know. I'm
Massive.
just still really bitter
Oh,
about
sure.
the fact that now PlayStation has me
Yeah,
pay to
that's
play
true.
Overwatch online.
That's true. That's
Anyway.
true. Oh, and one more thing before we go about that is that first-party games on Xbox, if you're buying a first-party game going, I believe here or later this year forward, any first-party games on Xbox One will also not just be playable on the next generation, but if you're buying them digitally, you get that digital version of the Xbox Series X version for free.
That was huge.
Yeah.
It's a game
You don't have to
changer.
buy a game twice. If you want to play it now, buy it now. CD Projekt Red mentioned this with Cyberpunk, saying we're going to give you that as a developer. We're like, we don't want you to have to pay for it twice. If you want to play it now, play it now. And you want to play it when you get your new console, play it then too. You don't have to pay for it twice. And Xbox basically said, yeah, I agree. Let's do that with all of our first party games.
As a huge God of War fan, like this speaks to me on such a personal level.
Yep. So pair that with Xbox Game Pass, which if you have Game Pass, you get all of their first-party games day one. Means you don't have to go buy a $60 game because you already have it ready to play. They're moving away from saying let's have exclusives to just saying, hey, if you're part of our ecosystem, we're just going to give you lots of stuff, which is really interesting.
And the only downside is that you're still playing on Microsoft console. Anyway.
Yeah.
Wow,
And by the way,
shade
after all that, I haven't booted up mine since I think last April or or May. But it's just an exciting time. Really.
It really is. There's a whole new generation of stuff happening, and it's awesome. We're going to switch gears a little bit, though, and we're going to talk about cons. One of our
We're
favorite
talking about
cons
the con.
is coming up soon. We were given permission to refer to it as one of our favorite party cons.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah.
I've seen some things that no man was meant to ever see.
I participated in some panels where we saw some
Yeah,
things.
That's where I saw you before.
Have you ever been to my late night panels? I've actually had people say, "I didn't know you knew those words."
Would you please be so kind to
Oh
identify
yes,
yourself?
I guess I should identify
Yeah.
myself. So, I'm just mystery guest tonight. Here's talking about Alcon. I'm Cole, Jedi Cole Houston of the Jedi Cole Universe and the Ranker Pit Live and Isle of Toys on DallasOnAir.com. Little plug there, and also the co-host of Hey Kids Comics on my network, Jedi Cole Universe. And in this capacity, I'm here representing Alcon, which is 16 years old this year.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's awesome.
And this marks the 15th year of my own personal journey into Alcon very heavily, and that is the Games in Theory, the game show track at Alcon. This year I have 12 producers. I don't have to do it all myself anymore, which it's been kind of weird. And over the last several years, we have 12 different producers producing 45 game shows over 4 days for the 15th anniversary of game shows at Alcon. We've gone from one game show in 2006 to 45 in 2020.
I actually have that image up if you want to name any of those people.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, we've got the folks from Bacon Samurai, Devin Pike, and Zach Schroeder, who's our producer over at Dallas On Air. We have, there's so many of us now. Brand new, we have Animagic was one, they've changed the name, the group, who one of their members kind of spun off and became Rogue One. We've got Yellow Memo Note, my own production group, Half-Ass Productions.
I love this one, Classy Octopus Productions.
Brand new. This is one of our brand new producers this year is Classy Octopus. The guys from down in San Antonio from In Our Nerdy Opinion are back up here. Kevin and Jeremy, and forgive me, I cannot recall their new member of their team's name. Then we, of course, have Succulent Sith Productions, Robo Family, Cult Cinema, Fanatics.
You should stop having them.
Yeah.
Kidding, I love
Let me just tell you that when you go to Don't Lose Your Geek Card Cult Cinema and Television Edition, be afraid. Be very afraid, because Jayster will be there, and he is a frightening.
He made me drink flavored sodas one year.
Flavored.
He nearly,
Bad flavor
like the
sodas.
Jones
he nearly
sodas, like the
murdered
Thanksgiving
some of his
dinner.
panelists by hurling dum-dums at them last year. They're not really thinking about velocity and, the...
That point has got to go somewhere.
That's right. And we've got Robo Family. Robo Family and Yellow Memo Note are both examples of people who were in the audience at game shows for years and got the bug. So be careful if you come to the game shows. Don't lose your geek card. I think there's 8 or 9 incarnations this year. This was my in desperation match game replacement from about 10 years ago, and it has really become exactly what I want. You can plug any topic into it, and it's most frightening with Jaster, of course. And then game shows aren't the only thing going on at AllCon. I'm sure some of you guys I know have been there, and
Yeah, I think of AllCon as such a weird, and wholesome blend of things. It is a party con. It is also more purely like a makers con than some other ones.
Well,
We've had
absolutely.
in the past you've had Ted, Evil Ted, who I got to meet at AllCon a couple years ago. It was a big moment for me because he taught me how to make props. So,
very good. Yeah, that's one of the things is there are workshops and panels and dances and games and just there are so many. There's over 400 things going on over the course of 4 days. You cannot do it all. Not even science guest and time traveler Marshall Barnes could do it all by constantly coming back. But and this year we have the second Battlestar Galactica reunion.
Yes.
There was a lot of complaint in the Battlestar Galactica community that they didn't hear about it in time because it literally fell together so quickly. And everybody but Richard Hatch will be back this year, which is pretty amazing.
Is Dirk Benedict going to be here?
Not Richard Hatch.
Oh, you're talking about Dirk.
Dirk Benedict. Yeah.
Dirk Benedict.
Richard
Gotcha.
Hatch, of course, couldn't be here last
Cannot
year.
be here.
Cannot
Yeah.
be here in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
that's
looking
why
forward to
Richard-
playing a game. Can I play a match game?
Oh, absolutely.
I would love to.
I gotta say,
Making Samurai, folks, get him on your panel. For
there
match
was
game.
one year for AllCon, I was like on 7 panels and was like running back and forth. Like I'm in a match.
Welcome to
game.
my world.
Well, yeah, I'm on match game. I'm on. God, what was the one I competed against you?
Oh God, yeah. What was that?
That was the one that was Farmer did that one.
Oh, we were probably both on Onliners, which is
Onliners, yes.
yeah, which was the ripoff of At Midnight.
That's like the
It was
best
a shameless
one.
ripoff.
The
of At
first
Midnight.
time we did it, it's like Farmer's introducing things, and I'm pulling things out of my backpack to drink, and he turns around and sees. He's like, he brought a kit. I have to say, this con that was like the year I had the most fun at a convention. I was running back and forth between cons and doing game shows and doing panels and then playing just Cards Against Humanity in the hallway.
Well, last year, for the last several years, I've been sort of become the ad hoc face of AllCon. I was asked several years ago by one of the partners to come and co-host the opening ceremonies with him. And then the next year, he had to go do AllCon things. And so like, okay, I'll host the entire opening ceremonies. And over time, myself, sometimes one of my co-hosts will join me, but I refuse to let the opening ceremonies just die. So on Thursday morning, we'll have It Begins! And kind of introduced. But last year I did AllCon 101, and there was a teenage kid in the audience. For his birthday, he wanted to go to a convention. He selected AllCon.
That's great.
Never been to
Wow.
a convention before.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's his first.
And, you know, I'm like the knight in
That's intense.
Last Crusade, like, you chose wisely. Because,
And you be lying.
but apparently,
Smart kid.
I have heard that as a result, everything about his life changed. He
great.
opened up. It really,
Yeah.
he found his people.
Yeah.
And he and his mom and his dad are all coming to volunteer this year and be back. And so, you know, a salute to you, new guy.
I jokingly
Yeah.
say
Community.
that about
Because-
like he chose Raleigh, but AllCon is just that much fun. Like
Well, the
this
thing is, he can
this is
age
a
into
high
it.
bar
It's
for
very,
a con.
it's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah,
It's
As he gets old enough, he can
intense
really
and
discover
he's
the
gonna
comedy
go to other
aspect.
cons and say these suck.
Yeah.
Well, AllCon has a family feel that a lot of the other
Absolutely.
ones have kind of dropped, and I'm not trying to diss on other ones. They've gotten to a certain
Yeah.
bigness, but this one is still the one where you go and you see your friends, and if you don't have friends, you make new friends. Like, and we're allowed to talk about stuff we're involved in, right?
I did okay. So I have submitted us for a panel on Saturday. Hopefully, it gets approved.
The other thing.
Oh, but we're more of us are getting involved in the charity D&D game that's going to be led by Geeky Hoodie.
Oh, we love Geeky Hoodie.
I
Yes.
submitted my bio last
I
night.
have
talked
actually
to
been
him, I'm gonna be on
invited to
there.
join that. I have to check my voluminous schedule
Ooh.
to see if I can squeeze it in.
Well, it was
'cause
just going to be me. Now, then we drag Cora into it, and now we're dragging Cat and Cass into it.
Well,
This
I'm going
is
to try to drag some of you, since you're going to be there anyway,
Oh, please.
into the soon-to-be scheduled the return of Podcasting Day Camp.
Oh, really cool.
Plus,
I mean,
you get to
can
have
drag
big
us
marshmallows
into stuff.
and
I love
Cole,
to do
Is there-
different stuff.
Is there a toy panel this year, man?
there
Is there a
needs
toy
to be.
panel?
I've actually got free
You and
time.
I did
need
a
to-
toy panel one year.
Yeah, you were on Collector's Piece with me.
And it was great. I
That was
like brought
fun.
like
And
everything.
you have been
that-
on Isle of Toys as well.
Oh yeah,
so,
that Isle of Toys is a great show. But I brought like every Masterpiece Transformer I had, and put them all on the table. That's a risky move for me,
Yes,
by
it
the
is.
way. But I was ready to represent.
Absolutely.
There is an 80% chance that if you drag Cat and me into something, we will show up in Batman onesies.
Oh, that'll work.
Just so you know.
Or
Well, the-
Junkrat and Red
Or
Hood
Junkrat and Red
cosplay.
Hot from
Which is good for Wednesday night's Pajama Jam.
Oh yeah, I think that's
There's
where
a
we
the,
showed up
the
last
very
time.
thing begins on Wednesday night, and then we have the opening ceremonies, and
And
it goes
I
straight
think you need
through.
to illustrate that Thursday is a free day.
Oh, that's right. Good point. Yes, Thursday has been a free day since it was introduced. The idea was the first year it'd be sort of like an introductory thing, but they have
It's an
kept
idea
that.
the first taste is free.
Yeah, it pretty much
That's how
is.
they get you.
Well, last year we had the biggest turnout, at least as far as I could tell, that we've had on a Thursday, and everything for scale. Everything.
Thank you.
was,
First taste is free.
but so many people came up who told me personally, or told some of the other Games and Theory folks, I came here because it was free, and I just got back from going and buying a pass for tomorrow, a pass for the whole weekend. And so, it serves that purpose, but it's not like Thursday sort of like, oh, it's just a little taste. There's like 3 things going on. It's the whole day.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've got game shows all day long on Thursday. And
So I've seen other cons that say it's free until like 4 or 5. It's
yeah, no, this is straight through
everything.
Oh, and I have
till it
to-
turns into Friday.
I have to plug your dealer's alley because, like, some of the bigger cons, again, not dissing them, but they tend to put out only most popular properties. And, like, Cass and I have a stunning rendition of Morpheus from Sandman
And
and Death from Sandman, and we got it at All-Con because they can put out more diversity because it wasn't as hard to rent a booth.
Yeah, and they and one of the things, I mean, a lot of the bigger cons, the bigger they get, the more expensive they are to produce. And unfortunately, as someone who was a convention dealer for 20 years or more, they priced me out of the market a long time ago. But again, I'm like you. I don't want to diss any of their cons. I mean, I'm silly for conventions. I run Convention Awareness Project Texas, of course, your one-stop source for every convention in the Lone Star State.
Link in the description.
So yeah, be able to be sure and check that out at cap-tx.info. And as soon as All-Con's over, I swear to God I will update it.
When
I
is
am
all cons? I'm
deluged.
not from from Texas, but I'm from out of town right now. So when is all cons?
I've got
Actually, that is March 12th through the 15th.
Thank you.
4 days.
4 days.
And tickets are still $60
Yeah.
for the whole weekend.
$60 for 4 days of
But
nonstop.
if you're smart
stuff.
like me and bought them way in advance, like Bryce and I,
Yeah, there's
bought 'em
burlesque.
early.
And,
Jedi Cole, I
Yeah.
wanted to say I've been revisiting your website about convention awareness for years now, and it's been a great resource. And I also want to say that, piggybacking on what Kat said earlier, I really enjoy the Dealer's Alley as well because I've picked up a lot of props from people, prop makers, at all cons. So it really is. I just want to emphasize how much fun this con is, not only from the people standpoint, but from the unique dealers you can encounter and
Oh,
art
absolutely.
makers.
Well, and
yeah,
speaking
it's fun.
to that as well, the dealer room is an aspect of the show. I often
Mm-hmm.
refer to All-Con is a convention with a dealer room attached.
Right.
Where so many conventions I'd been to years ago were becoming more a dealer room with a show attached.
Yeah.
Right.
And in some shows, because of their format, you might have 1 or 2 things going on during the course of the show. You might have maybe 2 panels simultaneously. At All-Con, there's 35 panels simultaneously.
It is hard to choose.
Yeah.
That is
Oh,
a
God.
bummer
And
sometimes.
this year
Yeah.
they are also introducing KidCon because a lot of All-Con goers in the last 16 years, they've had kids
That's great.
that are getting older and
Yeah,
older, but
yeah.
there's still
This
a
is
lot
true.
of young kids there. So they will have a committed room. And it's not, one of the mandates was no crafts, because there is a craft room, which is a lot of fun as well. So there's like a different thing that they'll rotate through every hour. But this is a programming directly aimed at the kids. So
There really is something for everybody.
absolutely,
this
and that's
con.
what's,
So the location this year is what
Yeah.
I consider the home.
oh,
of
it
All-Con.
really
The
is.
Crown Plaza Hotel at 143115 Midway Road, Addison, Texas. This is where the great moments happen. This is actually where I met you.
That's
So,
right.
This is
when
really
you
close
mentioned
to our
like
That's
new
right.
apartment.
you mentioned like making friends there. Like I have made so many
Oh,
friends
absolutely.
Wait,
Yeah.
For real?
there. Huh?
For real?
What?
That's where.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually.
that's-
yeah, we
That's right. I
met-
thought that was a
That
sign
was
of
like a
making
story you
friends.
were making up for my benefit or something.
No, it's true.
We actually met at All-Con. Like I had seen Bryce at cons, of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
Right. But that was the
But
first time we
that
ever
was
sat
the first
down and
time we
talked.
actually sat down, we talked,
like,
we
we
had a
met
couple of
Bryce
drinks
right
because
here.
they have a bar area that is the legendary meetup
I
area.
really
I'm
thought
sorry, it
Bryce
is.
just spawned
It's
outside.
it is the it's one of
Is
those
it in the
cons-
backyard?
An
Yeah.
imaginary friend that he somehow did a weird science kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
one of those cons where
With
you make
technology from
like
the
thrown him
literally-
into existence.
you're making memories. Like this is the one
Yeah.
where Cora was dressed up as a male character and got confused
Yes.
for a little boy.
Yes,
This
she
was-
couldn't drink.
Yeah.
The guy was so embarrassed. She was like, "I'm an adult," and then like he heard her voice and was like, "Oh God, she is." Bless the people there for putting. Bless the people at Crown Plaza for putting up with our shenanigans.
It
By
was
the way,
For so many years,
con that
no
we
less.
hung out
and
with
still we can
Bryce.
come back.
Like,
Like keep
Yeah, it was.
inviting them.
Yeah.
we hung
But
out at
it-
karaoke and
That's
chilled
right.
out.
Had a good time.
Yeah.
The hotel itself is almost like it's purpose built for this show. Because that second floor is just a walk around where you can go from all the panel rooms and then to the entrances of the actual hall where the dealer room is. The Addison Center, the Addison Theater is off of one of the hallways. It's just everything you need is right there. And then downstairs as well. There's just stuff going on nonstop.
it's my favorite venue for the show. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad
It's a
back there.
great venue.
Yeah, it is.
And they
So-
understand the convention. They're not going to come in at midnight and say, okay, everybody get quiet now.
Let me reiterate, they are
Yeah.
very understanding about
Right. Yes, they are.
There's a certain point where they're like, you should probably go to your rooms. It's
So-
like 3 o'clock in the morning.
But even looking at the schedule for the panels, it is absolutely packed.
Oh,
This
yeah.
thing, there's, I don't know how many rooms are actually dedicated to panels, and they're very comfortable rooms. It's maybe a seating capacity, maybe like 30, 40 people.
Depends on the room. Some of them were,
Well,
were
it depends on
smaller.
the room.
Yeah,
There's the
'cause,
larger auditoriums, but most of the fan-run panels. But like you said, there's always something going on. You look at, and please go to allcon.org and
Yes,
check out the
absolutely.
events list. You're going to find something that
And
you
look
want
at
to
the
check
event
out.
descriptions. Go look at the schedule, and then look at the descriptions because depending on who wrote them, they can be incredibly detailed, but they'll at least give you an idea what you're up against.
I mean,
And,
some
you know,
of my
I've got-
favorites are the game shows, of course, the cosplay contest, the burlesque show is always good.
Yes.
It is. It's just worth going to. Pay that extra money to go to the burlesque show. But
Oh, we saw Rocky Horror.
Rocky Horror.
Rocky
Yeah.
Horror,
Last-
that is a staple of this con.
It was it's so good. It was just so fun. And they had very good actors.
And dare I say, the later the night goes, the better
They're-
the panels get.
Frankenfurter.
And
They're
you can tell when
Frankenfurters.
the,
Just
Amazing.
he loosened. It took him a couple minutes, but by the time he's like,
It's hard when you're
singing-
in 9-inch heels.
yeah, he killed it. Like, oh,
But there is literally so much. There's the Frank Anderson Jr. puts on the annual comic book creation lab, where you can go in and spend the panel time actually becoming part of the All-Con comic that will be out available for everyone later in the weekend. And he'll come up with a theme, and everybody just, all skill levels. Don't feel like you have to be a great artist. Just go in there and have fun and be part of that part of the show. And we're not above bribing you to come to our shows, to my game shows, the other game shows, any of my panels and workshops,
or
my
watch us
2
play
talk
D&D.
shows.
Do you
Come
bribe
on
in
in.
money or
we-
fruit
we-
or
we-
what do you? What kind
Sometimes
of bribe?
We actually, we have raffle tickets
Oh.
that if you stay for the whole show, you get a raffle ticket, and every single one of them. And at the end of the weekend, at Ooh Ooh Ooh, the game show where everyone's a contestant, afterward, we have the grand prize drawing. So somebody's going to go home this year with a 1-to-1 scale Poe Dameron Star Wars helmet, X-Wing pilot helmet.
Oh, I thought it was a Poe Dameron.
And
Yeah, 3D
we
printed
couldn't
Oscar
afford-
Isaac.
That's right.
I would take that. I would take that too.
Yeah, I'll
It
take the
just-
helmet too. But
It
yeah.
just keeps coming out instead of Poe. It comes out as his character from Ex Machina, and people get confused.
Oh no! Oh
Or-
no!
I mean, the ladies
Not
like
in
it.
a fun way. Not in a
Can we
fun
get
way.
him as Apocalypse? You won't be able to tell that it was
Oh no,
him.
no,
Yeah.
we don't talk about that.
Well, no.
It was so bad. Anyway, so it's March 12th through 15th.
Absolutely.
And you go to allcon.org to get tickets.
Absolutely. Go ahead and get your tickets now. Book your hotel room at the Crown Plaza, because when you book a hotel room at this or any convention, you're actually helping the convention, because they will have package deals with the hotel.
And you'll
And that
save money. You
benefits
won't have
them.
to Uber around, and you're gonna be
Yes, exactly.
exhausted. The
And
hotel
it's
rooms.
so
totally.
nice.
It's
It's,
so nice.
such
It's
a
so fun.
different
As
experience.
someone who lives at the hotel
Yeah.
from pretty much Wednesday through the following Monday, it is so nice to drag,
It really is.
just sort
You're
of
gonna be
crawl,
exhausted just doing it. Yeah.
reach up, put in the key, and
And you could just get a little toasty and then
That's
wander
it.
up to
You
your
don't have to
room.
drive.
Mostly
And
just to
it's cheap.
recharge yourself. Yeah.
absolutely. And if Sunday morning, if you aren't too hungover, the longest running talk show at AllCon, Jedi Cole's Morning After.
I am-
We
I
serve you
have never-
cereal.
I have never attended the morning after, and I swear I'm doing it this year.
What time is
By
it?
God, you will. It's at 9 a.m. on
Oh,
Sunday morning.
we weren't.
That's a tough one.
I'm going to drag my
11:30.
hungover self, and I know I will be.
I'm going to call it the Scott Horn Challenge, because for the last several years,
Showing
Scott
up
has
just
managed
like-
to drag his hungover self into my show
You have on more makeup
to
than
be
you did.
tortured and entertained.
It's from
And
the night before.
Guys, we might have to split like a hotel room. Just
Yeah, like it Allcon is the best one to have a hotel room
Yeah.
for, because the stuff goes so late.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
it makes a difference.
And granted, we've spoken about we can. Oh, we've got Jedi Cole on here. We're gonna talk about it's our favorite con. This is my favorite con.
It's an amazing.
I was attending this con before I was doing SCNS live, so
that's right.
So
yeah.
is that?
I'm like,
oh,
do I
wait.
need to like postpone
No.
my flight or something? Because
you need to
Yeah.
be here
Like-
March
Yeah, you need to
12th.
be here in a couple of weeks and come and join us, because it's going to be nonstop. And this year is no different. And then you can, if you want to come and see me get all choked up at the end of the weekend, and come and see us at It's a Wrap, where we the games and theory department all converge, and those of us who haven't died. And
I'll just say that
tell you all about our weekend experiences.
PTO has been submitted for this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm done. Don't,
Oh
don't,
yeah,
don't.
I submitted.
I actually
PTO.
added a day because I needed more prep time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come
And the
Thursday,
Monday.
nobody bother me. I'm
Thursday,
gonna be
Friday,
there.
Monday.
Jedi Cole, do you have a favorite day or activity that you've done at AllCon in your 15 years there?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, because in year one, I was drug into being a celebrity. I'm a regional Z-list celebrity, by the way. I have to legally say regional. I found out, but I was drugged to be a judge for the costume contest in year one, and a judge for Miss Star Wars in year one. Year two, we had my wife Catherine and I, who is the executive producer for Games in Theory. We still had a little shop that we ran in Arlington on the weekends, and we were the first year of AllCon 2005, we were the only vendor that didn't back out on them. So we had the entire, it was albeit a small dealer room, we had the entire room to ourselves. So we just gutted the shop, brought everything there.
Yeah.
Year two, they offered us that same room for about what we'd pay for a booth. And it was nice, because we would go to see Rocky, and then at 2 in the morning, open the store back up. And a lot of the dealers were pissed, like, where were you in 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, oh, okay, good point.
Yeah.
That's why we were given that conceit. But, in year two, we've had an exhausting long day, and I sit down and try to finally get something to eat. They're like, they're waiting for you at the costume contest. Like, what are you talking about? Apparently there was this expectation that I was going to judge the costume contest. So really, I haven't in a while. It's been kind of off and on, but being a judge in the costume contest has been one of the most amazing, very fulfilling and satisfying things. But I think the best it has been when I've been invited to be a panel moderator. Last year, I got to take the stage with all of the Galactica guests, which was insane.
Yeah.
I was there. It was
And
wonderful.
I just like, hear these people that I watched when I was like 11 or 12, all sitting here talking to me, and I'd have sworn blind that damn show lasted more than one season. When I was a kid, I was pretty certain it ran at least 2 seasons, and I was rather shocked to discover that was not the case. But I have moderated panels with them, Terry, Jack, and
just speaking to as having moderated panels, being able to speak to someone who's like, a celebrity or someone that you grew up watching, being able to speak to them for more than 5 minutes, and one, being able to keep it together, and two, for them to actually care and focus on you and just talk to you as a person is really interesting. Of course, seeing just their passion and how much they love the fans, and being able to see, have the fans come out to see them is just.
And the beauty of All-Con is sometimes those celebrities will just show up at a table. Like, we were playing Cards Against Humanity and basically called out Zach from the Power Rangers. We called out Walter Jones on Instagram, and he came down.
Well, and the thing about it is, this
is
is
what I'm here.
One of the things that makes All-Con
see that
unique
coming.
is they bring in celebrities who are not going to be just sort of cloistered away. Yeah. It's not like, I'm going to write my name, go away, and you can maybe take a 5-second picture with me. Their celebrities actually come out, and they're wandering the show floor. I remember one morning we were having breakfast, and Camden Toy comes and says, "Can I sit with you?" I said, "You realize that you have diminished your fame by sitting here." But, it's really remarkable because their celebrities do care. I remember one year, I won't mention which celebrity this was, but his manager was there with him and was livid about the fact that this particular celebrity was so engaging with, he wasn't there just solely to take your money.
Yeah.
And
he
every
wasn't
time,
just protecting his brand. He was just there as
every
a person.
time somebody got an autograph or just came to say hi, he hopped up, went over, gave him a big hug, and then went back. But you could tell this guy was like, "No, that's money."
I got to say, it was quite embarrassing to interview Evil Ted and have a great interview with him, and then he came down for the year that I participated in the Bunny Hutch. And was like, "Oh, so this is what you were preparing for?" I was like, "Oh, well." Don't even.
It doesn't necessarily stay at All-Con either, I think.
It doesn't.
It's bound to get out into the world. So.
Are you going to be wearing your Jasmine costume?
Can you move on, dude? We got a
How,
guest.
how adorable would that be?
That's not adorable.
You want to come on?
For more than 2
I altered
seconds.
it for you, and I still have yet to see it.
And I paid you money, so don't even.
You can still see it on his Bumble profile, though.
I mean, and you have we cross-dress for practically every con. I don't see what the big deal is.
Yeah, if I gotta strap things down.
Anyway,
The point is, All-Con
If you're not cross-dressing, you might not fit.
We are
that.
what, 2 weeks? We are 2 weeks out
About
from
2 weeks
All-Con
out.
now?
Yes, indeed.
Oh boy, it's going to be a good time.
It really is.
we're going to be
Looking
all
forward to
over
it.
I have
that
been
con.
just frantically writing
Like there's
trivia and
there's few cons I go to
building
that
props and.
I go to panels, I see people, I get to buy something I want. I love this con. I do.
Yeah.
It hits all
And you
of the
haven't
marks.
spent all of your money just getting in the door.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because they're able to keep the prices low, and you've got that tryout day on Thursday, and it's just there are so many reasons to come and check out All-Con if you haven't already, and I promise you, if you do, you are going to be back in 2021 and 2022. And also be sure and visit the volunteer table, because you can earn hours toward a free pass next year. We're giving away a few free passes at the game shows too, so And in one final note, I do want to bring up, in 2013, I believe it's 2011 to 2013, I did a show called Jedi Cole's Prize Pile, which was a blatant ripoff of Win Ben Stein's Money.
Sure.
For 3 years in a row, I successfully defended the prize pile, which might seem like a great thing, except the caveat was that if I won from 1 p.m. Saturday to 4 p.m. Sunday, I had to give away all that stuff. I would much rather go to one person. We did that 3 years in a row, and I retired the show. It's coming back for the 15th anniversary. The prize pile is insane. It is over
great.
$450 worth of assorted stuff. And I want one person to go home with it, because then otherwise I have to spend all weekend giving it away. But, we do have the the big raffle drawing at the end of the show.
Yeah.
So I might have a
a way
mini prize pile
Exactly.
to give away.
It's wonderful.
All right.
It's going to be fun. You should come out. That has been our show.
We are going to be all over social media our social medias that weekend.
What?
We're going to be all over our social media that weekend.
Oh, yeah,
So-
except for me. I'm camera shy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a new outfit I'm trying
Of
on.
course, visit all-con.org down in the description below.
Jason's just
Get your
told her the
tickets.
entire duration of the show. It's just audio.
Yeah.
It's just like radio.
It's been
Nobody can
multiple
see it.
years of me being like, I have
YouTube
a
would say
face made
differently.
for radio. That's why I don't have any makeup on when I come in.
Clearly.
Anyway, so thank you, Patrick, for joining us
Thank you.
as well. And we're going to go over everybody's social media real quick. You can find
Sure,
Patrick
at
and
the
his
Lan
show, The
Cave.
Lan Cave.
Yeah, yeah. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, where every podcast thing you can think of, we're there.
That's how you do a brand. As for me, you can find me on Instagram at BetterCat. You can find me on Twitter at Doa Drawings, drawing terrible cartoons of things Overwatch League casters say for funsies. Anyway.
Well, of course, you can find the Hey Kids comics of the Jedi Cole universe at JediCole.com, and one of these days I'll start writing again on my own site. And on the first and third Sundays of every month from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Central on DallasOnAir.com, the Rantcore Pit Live, and third Sundays of every month from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Isle of Toys, because like Jason, I love toys.
Who doesn't?
You can find me on Instagram at The Good Cast or The Bad Cast, depending on what quality of content you enjoy. Is it a picture of me doing a new show, or is it a video of me sneezing? That's up to you. You can also find me on Twitter at The Good Cast.
You can find me, Bryce Culver, on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also see my Trapdoor Toys page on Instagram, which I promise to post to tomorrow because I have something interesting to put there.
No.
And I believe that takes us to you.
That
That
does
guy
take me.
wearing that guy with the short
guy with
sunglasses.
I don't have them on right now, but anyway, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at JCX, Twitter for toys, or well, Instagram for toys, Twitter for more political stuff. Anyway, also we're going to be doing some great stuff. We did meet with some people today. It was something we're going to be going over next show, but look for that. And of course, you can find Nerds with the Coffee episodes every Monday and Friday. There's a new episode out tomorrow morning. I don't remember what we're doing with this one, but I think it involves Johnny Depp. Anyway.
Who we're allowed to like again. Yay. Anyway, so that's been our show. Hope you enjoyed it. And as we always say, keep
Keep on nerding!